I'm Anastasia Chatzka, a fashion designer with over 20 years of experience and a sewing educator. And I'm really excited you're here to share another sewing adventure with me today. Welcome to Sewing Anastasia, and today we're gonna take a pair of boot-cut pants and make them into skinny pants. So cool. If you're not already a subscriber to Sewing Anastasia, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when all the new videos come out. Also, I'm now teaching virtual sewing lessons. You can choose any project that you want help on. Book your time with me and I will help you from my design studio to your sewing room. Links for that are going to be down below, or you can visit sewinganastasia.com. Also, I'm trying to get to 100,000 followers right now, so I need all the love and support that I can get. So if you love this video, make sure you share it with all your family and friends so that way we can grow Sewing Anastasia to 100,000 subscribers. It would mean so much to me, so that way I can keep creating video content on sewing for you. So these are the really awesome, amazing pants I'm gonna be taking in to make skinny. How amazing is this green snake print? Hello, so cool. But what's not so cool is the boot cut on the bottom of this pant. I totally used to wear these pants early 2000. What? Of course I did. But not wearing them anymore with the boot cut. So I'm gonna try them on. We're gonna pin it up and I'm gonna show you how to take in the legs so that way they hang evenly on you. So get ready to make these wide-legged pants skinny and slim. And this is gonna be the easiest thing ever. You're gonna go through your wardrobe and transform all of your pants. You only need a few supplies for taking in these pants. You're going to need some chalk, you're going to need some matching thread, and your pins. And of course, you're gonna need a pair of scissors. The first thing you wanna do is go ahead and try the pants on. I like to try the pants on inside out, so that way I can go ahead and put the pins in them and chalk, and it's all on the inside already, and I don't have to worry about flipping it. So grab your pins, put on your pants, and let's do it. So grab your pins, and let's go ahead and pin this up. So you want to make it as tight as you want it to be when you're wearing it. So these pins are gonna go where your seam line is going to be. So I'm gonna follow the contour of my leg. So I want it fitted in tight, but you don't want it so tight that it's pulling. So I'm taking my pin and I'm pushing it in the fabric and popping it back out on the other side. So I'm gonna go up kind of high into my thigh because I need to take them in. Maybe you just need them taken in on the bottom. It could really depend on the pair of pants you have. So now I'm gonna take some in on this side. So you'll notice we have a seam on the right and we have a seam on the left, and my pins are just going along where that seam is, but in a little more. So that's where we're gonna put our new seam line. Look at that, you can start to see the shape of my leg in the pants. So we wanna go all the way down to the ground. These pants are long on me, so I'm actually gonna have to hem them as well. So the thing with skinny pants is you can't make them so tight that you can't get your foot out. And it also depends how big your foot is. So sometimes what you can do is put an invisible hidden side seam zipper here if you want them that skin tight. Okay, so we are looking pretty good here. You can see the pins on the pants, and this is where our new seam line is going to be. So you only need to pin one pant leg because we want to take them in the same amount on both legs. So we're gonna pin one and then we're gonna lay it on top of it and go ahead and put the same marks on it. So now that we have one leg pinned, you can go ahead and take off your pants. Now grab your chalk and we are going to mark where the pins are on both sides. So mark right where that pin is going into the fabric. So I like to mark one side and then I flip it over and go ahead and mark where that other pin is on the other side as well. I've marked the bottom where I want to hem them. Now that we have that pant leg all chalked up, we're gonna take the pant leg with the pins on it and we're gonna fold it on top of the one with no pins, and then we're gonna transfer those marks to the other pant leg. Brilliant. Okay, so I have my pinned pant leg on top of the non-pinned pant leg. So you wanna make sure you're taking the exact same amount on this pant leg as you are on this one. So this is why we're laying it on top of it, and then we're gonna fold it back right where the pin is and put a chalk mark. So this is gonna ensure that both of your pant legs end up the same size. You would look so goofy if you had pant legs that were two different sizes. But you know, maybe that's a new trend you're starting to make. I don't know. Okay, so I have it marked on this side, and now what I wanna do is the other side, so I wanna go ahead and flatten it and lay it all out, because notice how it's all bubbly and bunchy over here. This is because the back of the pant leg always has more fabric in it, so it's gonna look bunchy and it won't lay completely flat. So we're gonna remove the weights and lay out the other side of the pant leg. So I wanna make sure I'm folding it right where the seam is, and all that extra, I'm just gonna go ahead right now and push it over. You could even iron it. So notice how you have more fabric here. It's because we've got a booty. Okay, so now we're gonna take this one and lay it on top. So notice how I'm making sure both of these edges are lining up and the fabric is nice and flat. And notice how the fabric is bunching over here, but that's okay. So now we want to find our marks on the top pant leg, and then take your pant leg and fold it back and mark right where that pin is. Okay, so we have our marks, and now we are done marking with chalk. Now that we have everything all marked up, you can go ahead and take the pins out of the leg that has the pins in it. Go ahead and set up your regular sewing machine, and we are ready to take in these pants. The first seam we're gonna do is the inseam. So you know, the seam that's on the inside of your leg. So I'm gonna be sewing the inseam and the outseam a little bit differently. So make sure you're starting with your inseam, because I got lots of tips and tricks for doing the outseam with that top stitch on it. Today I'm gonna be using the Husqvarna Viking Epic 95Q. I've got my machine all set up and we're on a straight stitch. Okay, so now what we wanna do is sew where our chalk lines are on our pants. So remember, I'm hemming my pants. So I'm hemming them here, so I don't need to start all the way back at the bottom of my pants. So I'm gonna be cutting all that off. So I'm gonna start about an inch below where my hem is going to be, and I'm just going to be sewing right where the chalk lines are. So make sure you backstitch. And now make sure your fabric is nice and flat. We don't want any tucks or pleats caught in the seam. So you're kind of playing connect the dots here, and just keep following your chalk marks. Now when we're ending, we want to blend right back into the seam that exists there, so that way it's nice and smooth. Backstitch and cut. So you'll notice right here where I'm ending, it's blending right into that existing seam. We don't want to make any severe turns or drop-offs of the seam, or just stop, because you'll end up with a tuck or a pleat on the outside, and nobody wants that on their inner thigh. Now that we have one leg done, we have to go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other inseam on the other leg. So let's do it. On this pant leg, I'm starting up on the inner thigh, and I'm gonna work my way down to the hem. So I have to make sure that I'm starting on the existing seam and blending it out. So this here is the mark where I need my pants hem to, so I'm just gonna come down another inch. And backstitch. And cut. Now that the inseams are complete, we need to go ahead and do the outseams. But your pants probably have an edge stitch or a top stitch, which is going to prevent us from sewing into the seam smoothly. So let me show you how to deal with this. So our last pin mark was right here on the thigh. So when we're sewing, right, we're blending into the seam. So if we blend up, we're gonna start about right here. But I've got 2 rows of stitches, and that's because one's a regular seam and one is an edge stitch. The edge stitch is gonna be the one closest to the serge. So what we want to do is go ahead and remove a few inches of this. So that way, when we're sewing up this side seam, we can go ahead and blend right into the existing seam without a problem. If you don't do this, you're gonna end up with a bubble or a pucker where you stop. Okay, so I have a few inches of this undone, which is great. Now we can go ahead and sew up the seam and blend into this area. Now go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other side. Now that I have both of the edge stitches removed, it's time to sew. So for this leg, I'm gonna be starting at the top of the thigh and working my way down to the hem of the pants. Now remember, you're starting in that previous seam, so that way it's nice and smooth. Make sure you back stitch, and then we're gonna blend down to our chalk line. Back stitch and cut. Now go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other side. This time I'm gonna start from the bottom and come up. So I'm starting an inch below my hem. Back stitch and come forward. Remember, when you get to the top at the hip, you're gonna be blending into that flat seam where you ripped out those edge stitches. And cut. Now we have the pant legs both taken in. You can kind of see the outline of my leg in them. Check that out. So we've got all this extra fabric here. What we want to do is go ahead and cut it off and make sure you leave yourself a seam allowance. So we want to leave at least a 1/2 inch of seam allowance, and then you can go ahead and serge the raw edges up that we cut, or you could zigzag or overcast them. Okay, so I'm gonna start with this seam over here, and I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting into the fabric, and I'm going to eyeball a 1/2 inch from that seam. And then when you get to the top, you're just gonna blend right off. There we go, check that out. Look at all that extra fabric we just got rid of at the hem. No more boot cut. We just chopped 2001 right down the drain. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other 3 seams that are left. Now that I have the side seams and the inseams all cut off, it's time to go ahead and chop off my hem because I also need to hem my pants. So now what I'm gonna do is measure down 1 inch from this chalk line here and go ahead and cut off the rest. So I'm actually gonna use this board that the pants are laying on. I'm gonna line up the bottom with a straight line. I'm gonna see where this chalk line is, and then I'm gonna go ahead and measure down 1 inch. The grid on here is 1 inch. So I know I can follow this mark on the grid. For the next one, I'm gonna take this chunk that I cut off on the other one and lay it on top of it, and then I can go ahead and cut this off. So I'm leaving 1 inch because my rolled hem is a 1/2 inch. And we all know a rolled hem is rolled twice. So it is a 1/2 inch and a 1/2 inch, which equals 1 inch. Okay, so now everything is cut off and we have these raw edges. So we wanna go ahead and finish them, but I'm actually not gonna finish them because my fabric isn't gonna fray, but most fabric frays. So you should totally finish your edges. You should totally check out the video I have, serging with a home sewing machine, so that way you can finish your edges on everything. Don't try and finish the edges separately. It's gonna be really hard to do that in your machine. So together and just, serge it through or zigzag it through, because you'll notice the pants, this is the way they're finished already. Both of the edges are together and they're serged together. So you wanna go ahead and mimic this. I have one last step on my pants, and that's hemming them. So if you don't need to hem your pants, you are completely done. Try on your pants, see how they fit. If you need to make some adjustments, go ahead and make some adjustments. Now let's go ahead and do a 1/2 inch rolled hem on the hem of these pants. So I've got my hem rolled up 1/2 and 1/2 again. We're gonna go ahead and stitch on the left edge. Now when I do a rolled hem, I like to keep rolling it as I go. When you make it back to where you started, go ahead and back stitch again and cut. Our rolled hem is looking awesome. It's totally looking like a 1/2 inch rolled hem. So now go ahead and do the exact same thing to the other pant leg. We did it! We took in these pair of pants. Do you remember how big they were? They were so boot cut, and now they are nice and slim fit. Now I can wear them all the time. 2001, no. 2021, yes. The side seam is nice and smooth, along with the inseams as well. So now you can go through your wardrobe and take in all your pants and give them a nice update. Thanks so much for watching Sew Anastasia today. If you have any questions on how to slim up your pants, leave them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. As always, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, give it some love, help us get to 100,000 followers. It would mean the world to me to keep spreading the sewing love. If you're not already a subscriber to Sew Anastasia, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when all the new videos come out. Also, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Sew Anastasia and Anastasia Chatzka, and I would love to see your sewing project, especially if you took in a pair of pants. So make sure you tag me in them or send it over in my DMs so that way I can share it with everybody else. I love sharing the creativity that everybody is creating with everybody else. It keeps us going. It's like this chain reaction, like, oh, you did that? I can do that. Oh my gosh, you did that? I want to do that. So let's keep inspiring each other. And don't forget, I'm also teaching virtual sewing lessons, so if you need help with your projects, let me know. Book some time with me and I will help you from my design studio to your sewing room. And if you're in Chicago, you can come into the design studio and take a one-on-one class or a small group class as well. Information for all of that is going to be down below, or you can check it out on sewanastasia.com. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!